So the Terminator franchise has had some pretty great and pretty terrible entries over the years. And by that, I mean most anything that came after 1991 wasn't that good. But regardless, let's talk about all of them. And warning, there will be spoilers here, so I've put the times of the films in the description, so you can skip around. Alright, let's get into it. Let's start off with the all-time classic, The Terminator. Much like when I talked about the first Star Wars, it's kinda hard to talk about something that's this iconic. Pretty much everything is great in this. The performances are fantastic all around. Michael Biehn is amazing as Kyle Reese, Linda Hamilton is really good as Sarah Connor, and Arnold was born to play this role. The Terminator itself is also a fantastic, really scary villain, and his opening where he rips that guy's heart out is spectacular. The movie's R-rated, and it's pretty brutal in a lot of parts. And it's also pretty frightening. It's very tense and exciting, and the Terminator, especially towards the end, is terrifying. Something that you can't kill that keeps coming after you is just inherently pretty scary, and the metal skull doesn't really help either. The movie has great action, great visual effects, especially for something that came out over 30 years ago, great music, great directing, great pacing. It's funny and kinda goofy in some parts, but also manages to pull off some serious moments, which is impressive. There are tons of iconic moments, and it's super quotable.
Come with me if you want to live.
I'll be back. Get out. F you, asshole.
The premise is really cool and original, with this future war and then time travel. There's a really good twist with Kyle Reese actually being John Connor's father, although it is kinda weird that he sent his own dad back in time to conceive him, but whatever. And really, this film is just super entertaining. If I had to nitpick something, some of the visual effects are kinda dated. Most of the stuff is great, but some of it does not hold up. That's pretty much it. So ultimately, I know I've kept this kinda brief, but this is just a pretty incredible film. It's one of the best film classics. It's a great action thriller. It's filled with fantastic performances and iconic moments. There's not much to say here, except go watch it. I'll give The Terminator a 9.7 out of 10. So now let's move on to the perfect sequel and the best action movie of all time, Terminator 2: Judgment Day. A film that does everything perfectly. A film that I genuinely cannot find anything wrong with. I honestly don't really know where to start here. Okay, let's go with the cast and characters. Again, they're all amazing. Linda Hamilton transitions from this scared waitress character to an almost insane badass really well. Arnold is great again, and it's really cool to see him as a good guy this time around. For the most part, Edward Furlong is really good. Robert Patrick is great in this, Miles Dyson is great in this, Hank from Breaking Bad is great in this. Okay, he's in it for like 2 seconds, but it's Hank!
My name's Tortuga. You know what that means?
If I'd have to guess, I'd say that's Spanish for asshole.
And nearly all of the characters evolve and change in a natural way, either from how they were in the last film or how they were at the start of this film, which is awesome and is what a sequel should do. And on that note, again, this is the perfect sequel. It does everything the first film did and makes it better, while also pushing the story and characters forward into new directions. The action is stepped up and it's absolutely amazing. The visual effects are incredible for the time and also for today. Like, if these effects were in a movie that came out today, I'd still be saying they were great. The villain is awesome again with the T-1000, one of the best movie villains of all time. He's deadly, he's creepy, and he's terrifying, in that he could be anything or anyone around you. The music is iconic as hell, James Cameron's directing is once again perfect, and this is just a very well-paced, well-structured film. It's 2.5 hours long, but it feels much shorter. They also changed this up from the first film, 1, with the T-800 twist, turning one of the scariest movie villains of all time into one of the most badass heroes of all time. That's pretty hard to do, but it's pulled off perfectly here. And as far as tonally, this is more of an action movie, and less of a kind of horror thriller movie. There are some of those elements in here, especially with the T-1000 stuff, but this is more of a full-head action movie this time. And it does that perfectly. It's entertaining as hell, it's super funny, it's full of iconic moments and even more quotable lines.
I need your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle. Hasta la vista, baby. I need a vacation. Chill out. Dickwad.
It's more brutal and rated R than the first film. It just does everything better than an already almost perfect film. The movie also does something really impressive in balancing some of the most epic and badass moments and scenes in movie history with a really interesting and emotional story. Like, you wouldn't necessarily expect a movie like this to make you cry, but every time I see that ending, I can't help it. So in the end, again, T2 is my favorite action movie of all time, and in my opinion, is one of the best movies of all time. It does a fantastic job of balancing fun, crazy action, and special effects with a pretty fascinating story and good characters. It's one of the most influential films of all time. It's just pure entertainment from start to finish, and to me, it's flawless. So Terminator 2: Judgment Day gets a 10 out of 10. So now we start the downfall of the Terminator films. Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines is an okay movie. It's a definite step down from what we'd seen before, but it's better than what would come later. Okay, there are quite a few things I like here. There are some cool action scenes here, some pretty funny moments, some great visual effects. I like the idea of the TX. It's kind of a mix of the T-800 and the T-1000 and whatever this is. Seeing Arnold back in this role is a lot of fun again, and overall, while it is a lot dumber than the previous two films, it's still decently enjoyable. I wouldn't recommend you go out and watch it, but it isn't the worst way to spend an hour and 45 minutes. The one thing that I really like in this is the ending, where the bombs drop and the war with the machines really starts. I think it's really cool that no matter what they do, Judgment Day can't be stopped. They don't do some kind of cop-out ending. Judgment Day comes and the war is inevitable. So, what did I not like here? Well, for one, this film doesn't really feel like a proper Terminator film. James Cameron's absence is very noticeable. Not only in the camera work, but also just how dumb and less self-aware it is. It's much more goofy than the others, from this scene, to this scene, to this scene.
Talk to the hand.
The pacing is also kind of weird. This feels oddly slow to me. The story has quite a few familiar beats to it, to the point where it just feels unoriginal. The performances are okay, but there's no Michael Biehn or Linda Hamilton. Nothing really sticks out as great. There are quite a few plot holes. There are a couple of clunky, forced-in references to the other films.
Hasta la vista, baby. You wanna live? Come on!
She'll be back. I'm back.
And while some of the action is kinda cool, a lot of it is too up close, shaky, and edited really fast, making it pretty hard to follow sometimes. So in the end, Terminator 3 is fine. It's nothing great, it's nothing terrible, it's fine. For every cool moment and idea it has a really dumb moment or idea. However, I can't say that I wasn't at least slightly entertained throughout most of it, so I'll give Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines a 6.5 out of 10. And now we're here at Terminator Salvation. The bottom of the barrel. There are a few things in this that aren't that terrible. Christian Bale isn't really that bad, although he really just yells for the whole film.
Connor!
Come in.
Take my gun! They know what you are, even if you don't. What are you?
We are dead! We are all dead!
I liked Anton Yelchin as Kyle Reese, and Sam Worthington is passable as the half-Terminator, half-man guy. He's undeniably pretty bland, but I didn't hate him. Some of the visual effects are pretty cool, some of the action is okay, and I really like the premise of setting a Terminator film in the middle of the war with the machines. We've seen John Connor's mother, John Connor's lieutenants, and John Connor getting protected for this big war, so it's a cool idea to actually see the war itself. And really, the main positive I have for this film is that on-set Christian Bale rant, which is genuinely hilarious. And I've started quoting it almost every day.
I want you off the fucking set, you prick! The fuck are you doing? Are you professional or not? Yes, I am. Do I fucking walk around and rip down? No, shut the fuck up, Bruce. Do I want? No! No! Then why the fuck are you walking right through? Da-da-da-da like this in the background. What the fuck is it with you? Fuck's sake, man, you're amateur.
I was looking at the light.
Oh, good for you!
Besides that, though, this movie sucks. There are a lot of little things that are wrong with this. There are plot holes, it's PG-13, CGI Arnold is pretty bad. There's virtually no color in the film, the directing is not very good. But the main problem I have with this is that it's just very boring and really forgettable. I only kinda remember what happened because I watched this a few days ago, and even then, I'm now starting to forget it. The writing is really bad, the film's editing and pacing is horrible. Like, it feels very disjointed in a lot of parts. It's also just very stupid at times, like that whole scene on the bridge. And altogether, again, this just doesn't feel at all like a Terminator film. Although I guess maybe it wasn't trying to. Side note, this movie also makes Terminators seem either way too overpowered or way too weak and useless. Like, I know these are earlier models, but still, they kinda suck. Also, they don't really try to kill people as much as you'd think they would. They either shoot at the car instead of the people, or they throw the person across the room. Like, you are literally called a Terminator. Terminate something. So look, Terminator Salvation is my least favorite Terminator. It has one or two things that I enjoyed, but besides that, it's boring, it's dumb, it doesn't make a lot of sense. The directing is bad, the acting is meh, and it's thoroughly forgettable. Even Arnold hates this.
You didn't do the fourth.
Thank God.
Why was it bad?
It sucked.
I'm gonna give Terminator Salvation a 3.5 out of 10. So now, we've finally come to Terminator Genisys. I actually reviewed this film when it came out a little over a year ago, and after a recent rewatch, some of my opinions have stayed the same, and some have changed. Okay, what did I like? Really, only three main things. Arnold, J.K. Simmons, and the premise. Firstly, the premise. When time travel is involved, the idea of just completely messing with a universe's timeline really interests me. The Terminator timeline is already so screwed up that they might as well have some fun with it. And the first half hour of this film, while it wasn't great, it had some potential. Going into this, I wasn't looking for the next T2. At this point in the franchise, I was just looking for some quick entertainment. And the first half hour kinda has that. It's really dumb, but it's kinda dumb fun. It kinda tries to mesh the two best Terminator films at the start with the T-1000 in 1984. It has Arnold fighting Arnold, which is pretty awesome. If the whole movie could have been like that, it would have been a really stupid, kind of enjoyable, over-the-top film for me. It's undeniably just fun to see Arnold back as the Terminator. And J.K. Simmons is the best. Again, I love that guy and whatever he's in, he's one of my favorites.
Goddamn time-traveling robots covering up their goddamn tracks. Knew it.
Okay, now everything else. The rest of the cast ranges from meh to pretty bad. Emilia Clarke, who's been great in other stuff, and Jai Courtney, who's been in other stuff, they're both not very good here, and they don't really have any chemistry.
And don't think me holding on to you naked meant anything, because it, did not.
I didn't say it did.
Jason Clarke is fine as John Connor. The idea of John Connor becoming a Terminator is interesting. He's kind of like a nanobot TX type thing, but they don't really do anything with it, and it doesn't help that it was spoiled in the trailers. There are other things that are bad about this. The spelling of Genisys, the fact that it's rated PG-13, the not so great visual effects and action, the forced in social commentary, but by far the worst thing about this film is the plot. It is so unnecessarily convoluted, dumb, and inconsistent. When I said earlier that I like the idea of messing with the timeline, that's really just when you acknowledge that, hey, this is kind of ridiculous, let's just go with it and hope we get some cool new alternate timelines and scenarios out of it. But that doesn't work when you get so bogged down in these specifics. All this stuff with Kyle Reese seeing future, past, alternate dimension flashbacks or whatever, what is that? And there are so many weird plot holes that come from this. If the T-800 from T2 looks the same, then why doesn't the T-1000? If Kyle Reese is sent back to 1984, and in 1984 he never has sex with Sarah, then how does John Connor even exist in this timeline?
You can't kill us. We're your parents. Without us, you're never born.
Says who?
Says me.
We can stop Judgment Day from happening.
But I thought the whole point of this franchise was that you can't stop Judgment Day from happening. It's inevitable. Then there's the whole Skynet thing, which is also a bit confusing. So Skynet is actually a person who is Doctor Who, and Genisys, which is also Skynet, is this little hologram thing. Maybe that's just a physical representation of Genisys, I don't know. So Skynet is Genisys, and Skynet is Doctor Who, and Genisys is also this hologram thing, which is also Skynet, which is also John Connor. And at this point, this film feels like a giant bloated mess. Even if there is some explanation for this, it is not presented well or at all in the film. And what should have just had a simple, dumb plot to put some cool action on, ends up leaving a lot of unanswered questions and being very confusing. So look, I don't think this is a great film. In fact, I don't think it's a good film. There are pockets of entertainment throughout, especially at the start, but some interesting ideas are totally squashed by mediocre performances and a really stupid plot. I'm now gonna give Terminator Genisys a 4 out of 10. And yes, my ratings can change over time the more I think about or watch a film. So those were my thoughts on the Terminator films. Which is your favorite and least favorite? Or rank them from best to worst in the comments below. While you're at it, be sure to like this video, check out my Instagram at BHL_Hudson, check out my Twitter at BHL_Hudson, and subscribe for more videos like the one you just watched. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.